Thank you, Sophie. Welcome to Thursday's Look North. I'm Alison Freeman. Tonight, arrests and clashes with police after students protesting against the war in Gaza barricaded themselves inside a university building. Good evening. Northumbria Police says 3 people were arrested after a group of students barricaded themselves inside a Newcastle university building protesting against the war in Gaza last night, resulting in clashes with officers. The group occupied the Armstrong building for around 5 hours yesterday afternoon. Police say they made arrests for public order offences and breach of the peace. While Mark Denton is outside the university for us tonight. Mark.
Yes, Alison, nearly 8 months after Hamas's cross-border invasion of Israel, an attack in the border area, and Israel's military campaign in Gaza in response. Of course, the war provokes strong views on all sides. Universities, in fact, around the world have seen protests in support of Palestinians in Gaza. Indeed, at this university here, they've been here for around a month, and the sight of flags and banners have become a familiar sight on campus. But 4 weeks in, those protesters have now adopted a new tactic. While protesters against the war in Gaza have been occupying an outside area at the university for 4 weeks, late yesterday afternoon, the university says a group of around 20 moved inside the Armstrong building. The protesters say there were 50 there. They included members of a group describing themselves as the Newcastle Coalition Apartheid Off-Campus Group, who call for the university to cut ties with defence companies and Israeli universities and want what they describe as an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Their spokesman did not want to be identified.
The occupation of this building is to prove that we're not here to be messed around. The only violence that I think matters right now is the violence going on in Gaza.
You're running around in masks. Is that not intimidating?
The only time people are wearing masks is when they're on the encampment or when they're doing an action such as occupying a building. So in day-to-day life and running of the camp, people are generally not wearing masks. And in the sense that we as a camp have very strict procedures and protocols on how to deal with discrimination. That's all discrimination, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-Palestinian discrimination.
Look North has approached the Jewish Society at Newcastle University and the Union of Jewish Students for comment. Footage filmed by the protest organisers appears to show police intervening at the scene. Northumbria Police say some protesters later moved on to other parts of the city centre, causing considerable disruption. The police made 3 arrests, 2 men in their 20s in connection with public order offences. Both of them are in custody, and a man in his 60s was also arrested for a breach of the peace. He has since been released. Well, the universities say their security teams, with the assistance of the police, dealt with the situation in the Armstrong building. They say the protesters had left that building by 9:30 last night and it was then secured. But on the wider issue of this type of protest, the university has issued a statement today. It says, while we have always respected students' right to peaceful protests, unauthorised occupation of university property is trespass. It goes on, this behaviour is unacceptable and any student identified as being involved or intentionally disrupting the education of other students will face disciplinary action in line with our code of conduct. Now, in the last hour or so, we've also had a statement from the Union of Jewish Students. They say when the encampment began and since the encampment began, they've seen abuse of Jewish students in Newcastle and chants calling, they say, for an intifada. They say they want the university leaders at Newcastle to ensure Jewish students are safe on campus. Well, as we've heard, police have 2 men in custody tonight. They say they will uphold the right to peaceful protest, but anybody that commits criminal offences will see action. Back to you, Alison.
Mark, thank you.